In 2002, Japan's Pride Fighting Championships rules the MMA world.
He's gonna do it! Oh!
There's never been a better mixed martial arts event than a Pride show.
It did produce one of the best fights in history, one of the best tournaments in history.
Pride's TV deal exposes its no-holds-barred battles to millions of fans.
Wow, this real fight movement is really make money.
Fighters from the U.S. quickly become local celebrities and help turn Pride into what the UFC still dreams of becoming.
Are you going to be looking at taking some of the Pride fighters over into the UFC?
Pride was where the most money, the most opportunity lied, and that's why I wanted to go over there.
But after beating down competitors by presenting some of the sport's most legendary confrontations,
I thought he killed him. I'm like, well, we just had the first death in MMA.
Pride will be brought down by an opponent it can't submit.
Yakuza bodyguards pulled the gun, put it to my head.
Get your ass out, it's over.
This is the story of the fall of the most exciting promotion in the history of MMA.
We talk about the 7 deadly sins. The second worst is greed. The worst sin is pride, and this story is mainly about pride and greed.
In the early 2000s, mixed martial arts is exploding in Japan. 3 of the nation's 6 television channels have exclusive deals with local MMA leagues, allowing tens of millions of fans to watch fights on free network TV. But it's Pride Fighting Championships that grabs most of the attention. And in less than 5 years, this homegrown, ultra-violent free-for-all promotion grows into the biggest combat sports organization on Earth, with enough gravity to pull in top fighters from around the world.
Going to Pride was actually going to the biggest arena. That was where the best heavyweight fighters in the world were. Pride was where the most money, the most opportunity lied, and that's why I wanted to go over there.
Yeah, that was good.
I'm Josh Barnett. I'm a guy who spent a whole hell of a lot of time reading Japanese comic books, watching anime, and punching people in the face in the land of the rising sun.
Nice.
We fight in front of the biggest crowds that we can draw. The bigger the crowd, the more we get paid. So we are really entertainers at the end of the day. With Pride, it felt there was opportunity for you to exploit your IP, as they like to say, much more.
Especially at their massive events like Shockwave, that helped Pride gain a level of popularity unimaginable in the U.S., where the UFC is nearing bankruptcy. For a young sports producer from Los Angeles, a high-paying gig working for Pride seems like a dream job.
My first trip to Japan, I came and I'm like, this place is great. I love it, right? And I go to Shockwave, for the biggest MMA event ever. I'm like, I love this place. Jerry Millen, former senior vice president of Pride Fighting Championships. I get home, 3 days later, they call me. They're like, Jerry, I just want to give you a heads up. Morishita has committed suicide, and he won't be the boss of the company anymore. I'm like, what?
Naoto Morishita is the co-founder and president of Pride, until he's found hanged in a Tokyo hotel bathroom on January 8th, 2003.
I'm like, the dude I just met like 4 days ago killed himself. And I'm going to work for this company?
Morishita, he's the president.
This is going to be crazy. I can't believe this. This is going to be nuts. I'm like, what am I getting myself into? But when somebody's paying you that kind of money, you don't ask certain questions.
As Pride's president, Morishita succeeds in turning the fledgling MMA organization into a powerhouse promotion. His reputation as a clean-cut, by-the-book executive makes the circumstances around his death all the more suspicious.
Official story was that Mr. Morishita was in a room with his lover. Even though she was married at the time, he had a relationship with one of the Pride promoters' daughter. And they got into an argument in the room. Mr. Morishita supposedly went into the lock himself in the bathroom and didn't come out for a while. My name is Shu Hirata. I'm an MMA manager, but also I was a writer at the time when the Pride Fighting Championship was peaking in the market. His girlfriend wondered what happened. When she opened the door, she found him already hanging.
It's very strange. On the same day, Morishita has a press conference. I was there too. Pride is clean. Pride is good. Pride is going forward. That's his speech. Then 7-8 hours later, he hung himself in Tokyo Hilton Hotel. Why? What's going on? My name is Tadashi Tanaka. I'm a journalist and critic in the field of MMA for more than, I think, 50 years. I do know there's one guy Morishita meet after the press conference, before he checked into the Tokyo Hilton Hotel. That is Hiromichi Momose.
Hiromichi Momose is Morishita's partner and co-founder at Pride. He's also deeply connected to Japan's organized crime syndicate, the Yakuza.
And Hiromichi Momose and Morishita have a dinner on that day.
He's not the biggest boss who was backing the Pride at the time, but he was one of the guys who's associated with the big boss. And people had to pay respect to him. So yeah, I guess he has that kind of a power.
Despite that power, the night of his death, Morishita has what witnesses describe as a confrontational dinner with his Yakuza-connected co-founder.
All I know is this. Mr. Morishita was asking some of his staff about missing money. I heard close to $700,000 were missing on the books, so he was questioning everybody. He wanted to make business clean, try to make Pride, a legitimate sporting event which is accepted by a general public. Meaning, in Japan, you shouldn't have any relationship with Yakuza. Unfortunately, maybe those people who was taking the money just wanted to, shut him up.
Momose actually talked to Morishita. You are nothing. You are worthless. You are not good as the president of Pride. You should die.
Hours later, Morishita does just that. But police at the Tokyo Hilton say there's no evidence of a crime and quickly rule Morishita's death a suicide.
I trust the Japanese police, as long as police report is right.
As the Yakuza tightens its grip on Pride following Morishita's death, a new fighter is also taking hold in Japanese MMA.
Crocop is bullying Sakuraba around.
29-year-old Miro Crocop, a Croatian kickboxer, is one of the sport's fastest rising stars.
Sakuraba's not getting up here.
I think Miyoko was one of the best fighters in MMA.
I like Crocop. I wasn't that close with him, but I respect him 100% as a fighter. Crocop was so serious. He was the only one that scared me. Is this guy crazy? Crazy scares me. And that high kick was murder.
But Crocop's ring success isn't bringing him financial success. So his new manager, an ambitious sports promoter from Australia with no MMA experience, seeks to change that.
First entered the fight world with Miro Crocop, it was obvious to me that the fighters were definitely not getting their fair cut. And my first job was to start changing that for the fighter that I represented. I'm Miro Miatovich, and I was the most powerful fight manager and agent in the peak of Japanese fight industry. I was considering taking Crocop to Pride.
But Miro's connections in Japanese MMA issue a warning. The Yakuza wield significant power at Pride, and working with this deadly Japanese crime syndicate could be dangerous for him and his fighter.
And, really, I just didn't buy into it. Basically, I ignored it. To me, there was no reason why I wouldn't sign him to what I saw as the up-and-coming promotion. There's gangsters from all over the world, and it hadn't spilled over into business practices at that stage.
Or had it? Miro is new to the Japanese fight game, but the Yakuza has long been setting the rules. The first one being, never talk about their involvement. The Yakuza also works at hiding in plain sight.
I wouldn't say what promotion, but there's one promotion back in Japan who was obviously handled by Yakuzas, but their meeting room is on the 4th floor, and all the other offices on 3, 2nd, 1st floor. Yakuza never step in those 3 floors. They know they're Yakuza, they're not supposed to be seen.
But for fighters at Pride, the Yakuza's presence remains the company's worst-kept secret.
It wasn't any surprise to any of us about Yakuza existing in this realm and sphere. It was just a matter of talking about it. And in Japan, the nail that sticks up is the one that gets hit.
Did Pride's president Morishita become a nail to be hit? His suspicious death ignites a power struggle, one that will reveal the shocking truth about what's really going on inside the company. For years, Naoto Morishita is the seemingly incorruptible president of Japan's most popular MMA promotion, Pride Fighting Championships. But his surprising death by hanging, at the height of Pride's popularity, gets people wondering if the criminal group secretly embedded in Japan's fight world, the Yakuza, played a role in his demise.
People in the know found it very, very obviously suspicious, but most people aren't following the ins and outs of a fight promotion. And when the police a few days later made a conclusion that there was no foul play and that they're ruling a suicide, that was sort of a green light for it to move on.
That's good news for sports agent Miro Miatovich. In the spring of 2003, Miro secures an exclusive 3-fight deal at Pride for his top prospect, Croatian kickboxer Mirko Crocop. The first fight of Crocop's contract happens a few months later.
This is the first top 10 heavyweight that Mirko Crocop has faced. Here it is, we're on, folks!
His opponent is American MMA star Heath the Texas Crazy Horse Herring.
Yeah, heavyweights moving like lightweights, and Heath goes for the takedown. Oh, almost. And Mirko is working hard.
Crocop's quick victory is also a big win for Pride.
This is going to be over.
Oh, Crocop was great business for Pride. Well, I remember when he hit Igor Vovchanchyn, hit that.
I kick it down, goes Igor. He is out.
I thought he killed him. I'm like, well, we just had the first death in MMA, and he didn't die, thank God. But I know he was great for business. He was very, very important to Pride and the company.
This man is taking over.
TV ratings spike for Crocop fights, so Pride's broadcaster, Fuji TV, begins heavily promoting his appearances in the ring, turning the fighter into a marquee name.
Crocop became the biggest single asset, the biggest property in Japanese fight sports.
But while Mirko Crocop's televised fights enhance Pride's reputation throughout the MMA world,
There's a left high kick that finds its mark.
behind the scenes, there's a different fight underway for control of the company. After the death of Morishita, his co-founder, Nobuyuki Sakakibara, takes over as president. While Pride has always received secret backing from the Yakuza, Sakakibara is rumored to have ties to a different part of the criminal organization, allegations that Sakakibara has denied.
The original Yakuza group who was backing the Pride got pushed over by a new group that came in with the new president.
He knew how to deal with Yakuza and stuff like that. He's not Yakuza himself, but he knows how to deal with Yakuza from day one.
The Japanese fans remain purposely ignorant of the Yakuza power struggle at Pride, preferring to focus on the company's newest superstar.
When I signed Mirko to Pride, Sakakibara promised us that if Mirko won his first 2 fights, his 3rd fight would be a title shot.
And on November 9th, 2003, inside the famed Tokyo Dome, Mirko Crocop gets his shot against Pride's heavyweight champion, Antonio Nogueira.
I don't want to go on the ground and stand-up position. I think I will kill him.
But as the title fight rages inside the ring, a different kind of battle is brewing backstage, as 2 rival Yakuza gangs, each seeking control of Pride, square off against each other.
And I was going from one part of the back of the stadium to another, and I stumbled into what was a few hundred gangsters. Japanese Yakuza are pretty easy to notice. Some guys are missing fingers, other guys have facial scars and damage. They were yelling abuse at each other, and I could see something was about to go down.
There's a high block. So far, just look at this. Ooh.
It looked like it was going to be pretty bad. There's about 150 on one side and about half that number, you know, about 70 on the other side. It's like, well, this guy's won, right? They didn't end up fighting. There was no gunshots or anything else.
Oh, right kick.
I think back then, fans and also even fighters or managers like us started to realize that, yeah, okay, there are people involved, you know? It was sort of like a dangerous.
But while the Yakuza skirmish is bloodless, Mirko Crocop isn't so lucky.
Was not able to sprawl out of that.
When Crocop is forced to tap out, it also marks the beginning of his withdrawal from Pride.
When Mirko had lost his title challenge to Nogueira, which is the final fight on his contract, by the way, we were looking to relaunch him to bring back Mirko's image in front of the Japanese public and the fans.
Enter Seiya Kawamata, a well-connected promoter in the Japanese fight industry.
Seiya Kawamata is a former entertainment manager. Had a very good relationship with Yakuza. So he was the man behind the entertainment scene who was specialized in troubleshooting with people from the dark part of the society.
He was able to get a contract with the second biggest Japanese private TV station, which was NTV. And they wanted to set up a new, clean fight organization, and I was very much interested in participating in that. And I saw that Japan could just be the start. It could take over the world.
Miro makes a deal with Kawamata. Mirko Crocop will leave Pride to fight New Year's Eve on Nippon television. The night had once been dominated by a family-oriented variety show.
NHK, which is like a BBC type of company in Japan, always held a red and white music extravaganza show. Red and white show is so dominant. Nothing else, no number 2, no number 3.
But that changes in 2002, when a mixed martial arts tournament featuring American fighter Bob Sapp and Japan's Yoshihiro Takayama attracts almost half of the audience watching TV on New Year's Eve.
That really changed the dynamics. Like people, wow, red and white show, we should watch the M&A. All the TV company realize, wow, this real fight movement is really make money. Let's jump on it. And everybody jump on it same time.
He'll be back. Yeah.
Now it's Mirko Crocop who will fight Takayama on what has become one of the most competitive nights on Japanese television.
That's the beginning of the trouble.
The trouble starts when the Mirko Crocop fight on Nippon TV sparks a reaction from Pride's broadcaster, Fuji TV.
What happened was that at the beginning of December, even though Pride and Sakakibara had no plans to do a New Year's Eve event, Fuji TV decided they were going to do one with Pride.
Then, less than 4 weeks before the big night, Mirko Crocop abruptly drops out of his event that would be competing with Pride.
Mirko was paid. Look, I wasn't there. I'd heard that someone had gone over with a big case of money. There's rumors of anywhere between $200,000 to $500,000 to sit the fight out. When I spoke to him, he didn't tell me that he'd received money. He had a sore back and he wasn't going to fight.
Miro blames the man running Pride and his alleged connections in the Yakuza for getting Crocop to withdraw.
I was pissed with them. After working with these guys for half a year, helping them to build that product, that's not how it's going to go down. At that stage, I was quite happy for a, gloves-off conflict with Sakakibara. Bring it on.
After losing his fighter back to Pride, the super agent goes to war with the biggest MMA company in the world. But with the Yakuza pulling the strings at Pride, Miro Miatovich is soon marked for death. In 2003, kickboxer Miro Crocop is scheduled to be the star attraction at Nippon TV's New Year's Eve MMA extravaganza. But when the fighter suddenly drops out, effectively ending his relationship with manager Miro Miatovich, Miro blames Pride Fighting Championships and goes looking for both a replacement fighter and payback.
I believe that the most appropriate response was that I was going to go get their heavyweight champion to replace Miro with Fedor.
Fedor Emelianenko is one of Pride's biggest stars. The 27-year-old Russian fighter is coming off 5 victories in a row.
Fedor is just a machine. Oh, boy, yeah, he can hit. The power that he generates.
What is violent?
Yeah, pretty amazing. Bas Rudener, former 3-time world champion in Japan for the organization Pancras and UFC heavyweight champion.
I got one word only, and that is impressive.
Fedor Emelianenko is one of these guys who comes in, he's very calm and relaxed. Almost never smiles. But this guy, man, he could fight.
World-class champions like Fedor fighting in Japan help Pride and its partner, Fuji TV, retain the title as the world's premier MMA promotion, while keeping the UFC, led by Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta, a non-contender.
At that point, UFC was nothing. I mean, it was there, but it was garbage. I mean, they were hiring Carmen Electra.
The energy here is off the hook. We're having a good time tonight, and this is just about as raw and as cutting edge as you can get.
That's how desperate they were. I mean, Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta used to come to Japan. I was friends with Dana. I liked Lorenzo. They would come to Japan because they wanted to figure out how we were doing it. It was no secret. I mean, everybody, every single fighter on the UFC roster wanted to fight in Pride. Guaranteed without question.
It's an inconvenient truth for Dana White. And when Pride discourages its roster from also fighting in the UFC, Dana publicly airs his frustration over being an also-ran in the MMA game.
Are you going to be looking at taking some of the Pride fighters over into the UFC?
I don't know if they'll let some of the Pride fighters fight. I'd love to do it if they'll let it happen. You'll never hear it's because of me that you know, the top guys in the world aren't fighting in the UFC.
But Pride's heavyweight champion, Fedor Emelianenko, isn't loyal to any promotion. So when Miro Miatovich travels to Russia and promises the fighter top billing at the non-Pride New Year's Eve event, Fedor signs on to both the fight and to making Miro his new manager.
I can't understand Russian.
The idea was, we're going to bring the fighters in, and Pride can suck it up.
But while Miro now has signed documents, Pride's broadcast partner, Fuji TV, isn't impressed.
You know, it's not really about the contract in Japan. From Fuji Television's point of view, Fedor, Crocop, those are my guys, my star, the star of Fuji Television. So Fuji was pressuring Pride that you cannot allow our fighters to be on another network. For them going to fight for another promotion that aired in another, like a TV station, will be considered as a huge betrayal.
Perhaps not understanding the stakes or not caring, Miro and co-promoter Seiya Kawamata continue planning for their New Year's Eve event. But the Yakuza, with its stake in Pride, threatened by this competing show, is at work on plans of their own.
1 week before, we were having a big press conference on the 22nd of December to announce Fedor. There was about 200 reporters, and they'd all been briefed on what was going to happen.
But Miro's co-promoter is a no-show, finally arriving 2 hours late for the press conference.
Kawamata is white as a sheet. What it turns out, a whole bunch of other gangsters had grabbed him and told him, look, unless you announce Fedor's not fighting, you're dead. He was pretty upset by this. And he was trying to convince me that his life was in danger. But it's too late. We're 10 days out from the event. I'm all in. I can't afford for this event to be a cluster. So I'm going to have to do my best to make this event happen, right? But I'm going to announce that Fedor's fighting. So I get up there and they hear me deliver the words, Fedor will fight at this event. The press is freaking out, they don't believe it. And by the end of that, Kawamata said, listen, because you haven't listened to what I told you, your life's now in danger. They're after you.
Two days before the show was set to broadcast live from Kobe, Japan, Miro travels to the airport and waits for his main event fighter to arrive from Russia, hoping what happened with Miro Crocop won't happen again.
For me, the worst possible outcome was someone was able to fly to St. Petersburg and deliver a suitcase full of cash to Fedor as well. And if Fedor's not on that plane, my future wouldn't look very, very bright for very, very long at all. In fact, I'm a massive pain in the ass that they really want to get rid of.
Sign the contract.
But while I had control of Fedor, I still had leverage. I'm actually sweating bullets because I don't even know if Fedor's on the plane.
And Miro isn't the only one hanging around the airport.
And there had to be about 30, 40 obviously armed Yakuza guys guarding the airport. And, you know, you've got the police just normally walking around, security, no one's saying a word to these guys. So I'm looking around thinking, this gets worse and worse every minute.
Until he finally sees the man he's there to collect.
I'm not really much into hugging guys, but, you know, I hugged Fedor about as hard as I've ever hugged anyone in my life. If he wasn't there, if he didn't walk through those gates, I probably wouldn't make it back to the hotel. And I was finally able to announce conclusively Fedor's participation the day before the event, on the 30th of December. The event that they tried to kill goes ahead.
On December 31st, 2003, 50 million viewers tune into one of 3 MMA shows broadcasting that night on Japanese TV. It's a massive audience, vastly exceeding the numbers from the prior year and bringing in big money for the promotions.
Oh, business-wise, New Year's Eve, it sets the precedent for the whole year for the promotion. If we kicked ass on New Year's Eve, we'd have a great year because we'd have sponsors, we'd have more money to pay the fighters, our production would be better, Fuji TV would be happy. It's like, oh, wow, you get people are watching.
And despite efforts to sabotage the competition, Pride's last-minute event still succeeds. Popular North American fighters Don Frye and Gary Big Daddy Goodridge fight each other in a much-anticipated grudge match.
At that point, we were good friends. And I love this guy. I didn't want to hurt him. I'm Gary Goodridge. I fought in UFC, K1, Pride, countless other organizations. But I wanted to win, and I got to win.
Gary was a big monster, just a big, huge guy. Just one of the strongest men walking the planet.
Oh, huge right hand. Oh, my God.
I am Don Frye. In Japan, I was known as Otoko Juku, which means the man of men.
Back in the struggling UFC, Don beat Gary twice over 12 months. Now, Gary hopes to get revenge in front of a huge New Year's Eve crowd in Japan.
Look at the stare down, and here we go.
I said to myself, I have one chance, and I'm going to kick him in the head. Anything else will take too long. I needed a home run.
And there's the right.
So I decided to give him a couple punches, hold back, a couple more punches, hold back, and I saw his hands go down like I know he's tired.
Yeah, and Gary didn't kick my head damn near off.
Same gym
Put me to sleep real fast.
You've got to be kidding!
This guy beat me twice in the same damn year, and it was like, I was so happy. That was everything. That was everything.
I had won the first 2 matches, and he won the third and final, and, you know, that's the only one anybody ever remembers is the last one.
Now raising his arm, unbelievable.
At the competing event featuring Fedor Emelianenko, there's more at stake than who wins in the ring. The Yakuza backing Pride have already lost their battle to keep the fight from happening. And as Fedor mauls pro wrestler Yuji Nagata, Pride and its Yakuza partners also take a beating.
For Pride to see the top star go somewhere else, meaning on somebody else's channel, for somebody else's promotion, somebody else is funding it, that makes them look bad. It also makes it look like you can't control your own house.
In Japan, losing face is a huge deal. You don't want to lose face.
Some of this seems lost on Australian Miro Miatovich. After watching his fighter win, Miro expects to simply get back to the business. But Pride and the Yakuza have a different plan. 3 days after the fight, Miro is approached by 2 members of the Yakuza in the lobby of his hotel.
They said they needed to take me upstairs for a meeting. They take me into the elevator. We go up to the top floor where there's a sort of a bar. They take me to the table and they sit me down. So I realized this is really bad.
According to Miro, sitting across from him is Pride's president, Nobuyuki Sakakibara.
I'm shocked to see Sakakibara there, and he's got big Yakuza-looking guys with him. And the Yakuza started yelling at me about Fedor, and I started saying, well, if you guys didn't get to Miro Crocop, we wouldn't even be sitting here. Sakakibara pulls out some documents. They're in Japanese. I'm looking at it, I say, you know, I can't read Japanese. I said, you know, what is this? And he says, well, just sign it. And I told them I wasn't going to sign anything in Japanese. One of the Yakuza bodyguards pulled the gun, put it to my head. I do remember thinking, it's now gotten really real.
Early in 2004, MMA fight promoter and agent Miro Miatovich believes he's being strong-armed by the president of Pride Fighting Championships, backed up by the Yakuza.
I was in a hotel with a bunch of gangsters that probably want me dead. What do I do?
What they want him to do is sign over his rights to heavyweight champion Fedor Emelianenko. Miro just wants to get away.
I said, look, listen, guys, I need to go. People are waiting for me. If I'm any later than this, people are going to start asking questions. That's not what any of us want at this stage. So I told them, look, if you guys want me dead, I'm dead. I know I'm only alive at your pleasure, so I'm going to do what you guys want me to do, but I'm not going to sign a Japanese document that I can't read. Get it translated into English, and I'll sign it. And amazingly, they agreed. They've redrafted the contract, and I just signed it, right? Giving them all my rights for zero, of course.
But worried that's not the end of it, Miro, along with his wife and children, depart Japan for Australia.
For 2 years, I didn't want people to know where I lived. So, you know, I was having fake addresses, living in different place every month. You know, I was living like a fugitive, where I had to stay hidden because my life was on the line.
But while Miro flees the country, the public continues to flock to Pride events, still unaware or just unconcerned about the Yakuza's role at the promotion.
This is must-see TV.
In 2005, the 2 fighters at the center of Miro's battle with Sakakibara and the Yakuza.
This is crazy. Fedor Emelianenko and Miro Crocop were 2 gigantic guys.
End up in the ring together at a Pride event.
And wow, Emelianenko damaging Crocop, and now with that high left almost has Crocop.
And eventually, no, it was time for them to face each other. It was a great fight.
Look at this. Now these series of hammer fists. Non-stop. Another kick. Crocop against the ropes.
Miro's former clients don't disappoint in the ring, with Fedor winning over Crocop.
Is just simply one of the best.
But it's the financial success of Pride fighters outside the ring that leaves any former agent thinking about what might have been.
Top MMA fighters who fought for Pride became very famous, became household names. When you're on the national television, on that kind of endorsement, you make very good money. Bob Sapp made $8 million in 6 months for just endorsements alone.
Soft and dry. Lion cutter.
And, you know, fighters like Mark Coleman and Vander de Silva got signed to be on a chic TV commercial.
I had my own noodle for a while, and it was pretty fun. I did the Godzilla movie. I did Godzilla Final Wars. I played Captain Douglas Gordon.
There are 2 things you don't know about the Earth. One is me, and the other is Godzilla.
Walk down the street and look behind you, you got 50 or 60 people following you. You'd be in a restaurant eating, and they would wait outside the restaurant for you to get done and come out.
But in 2005, it's the Yakuza finally getting attention from MMA press and fans when Miro Miatovich's co-promoter, Seiya Kawamata, files a criminal complaint with Japanese police. Like Miro, Seiya was also forced to flee the country.
He was threatened by Yakuza. What's going on? Something real going on. So I realized, wow, this is real evidence starting to show we gotta do something. I'm not a general media journalist. I'm a wrestling, MMA, kickboxing media journalist and critic. But I still have to do something.
Reporter Tadashi Tanaka arranges a one-on-one interview with the exiled former promoter, Seiya Kawamata. He tells about a meeting Seiya attended with Pride's president, Nobuyuki Sakakibara, and the Yakuza.
And actually threatened Kawamata. And you gotta pay roughly $2 million US. And of course, Kawamata refused to pay $2 million. And then Kawamata ended up staying in Los Angeles. Couldn't go back to Tokyo. If he go back to Tokyo, he was killed. So he has no choice to talk about it in publicly. Hey, Pride is a Yakuza-driven company. That's his main claim. Otherwise, he couldn't maintain his safety. That's his motivation to do an interview with me.
In March of 2006, Japan's weekly magazine Shuken Gendai publishes Tadashi Tanaka's explosive interview with Seiya Kawamata. Now, Pride's open secret becomes a matter of public record. It will change the business of MMA forever.
Huge right hand. Oh my God.
Since Pride's founding in 1997, the Yakuza's involvement is kept hidden from fans.
In Japan, it's very customary for a Yakuza, a mobster, to be associated with entertainment. So we all came to kind of accept it. That's how it is.
A decade later, when one of Japan's biggest weekly magazines publishes first-hand allegations of collusion between Pride FC and the Yakuza, supporting Pride suddenly means you're aiding the Yakuza.
The article is basically the Pride is run by, Yakuza. It's sort of like money laundering for Yakuza.
Everybody surprised, especially in Fuji TV's top people. Wow, do our group involved in Yakuza in a hotel meeting? And Sakakibara was there?
It was the first time it was written in public, so once it's out there, it forced Fuji Television to take action. They're national televisions, and they're really not supposed to openly associate with a criminal organization. They had to do something about it, right?
What they do is sever all ties with Pride on June 5th, 2006.
Fight promotion relies heavily on a license fee, broadcasting fee coming from the national television. So without it, you will not survive.
Instantly, Pride FC's tens of millions of viewers vanish. And the promotion must now rely on ticket sales and pay-per-view buys alone.
When Fuji TV went away, we were able to last for a year. Then the money got tight. And then he got put in a position where it wasn't sustainable, and the UFC saw an opening, and they came in and took us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome UFC representative Dana White.
Pride, the UFC's coming here to kick your ass.
For years, the UFC was embattled in the U.S. as it dodged angry protesters and state politicians who sought to ban the sport of MMA entirely, causing the UFC to trail behind Pride in both size and reputation. But all that begins to change on March 27, 2007. After UFC's reality show The Ultimate Fighter sparks renewed interest.
The new Pride owner, Lorenzo Fertitta.
The promotion's owners, casino owners Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta, double down on MMA, purchasing Pride for $67 million. It's a fraction of its worth before losing its Japanese TV deal.
It brings me a tremendous amount of joy that I'm able to pull these two great organizations and two great brands together.
To be honest, the smart thing to do would be run Pride shows, run UFC shows, and every year you do a Super Bowl.
But the UFC has other plans for its one-time rival.
I told the Japanese staff, I go, listen, you guys, start looking for other jobs because in a couple of months, they're going to kill this thing. And they walked in a couple of months after they made the purchase and everything was done and said, okay, get your ass out, it's over. And that was it.
Thanking the fans for their support over the last 10 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Saying that he wants to thank all of the fighters. Hopes to see all the Pride fans again one day.
Miro Miatovich will also make public his own allegations of extortion by Pride and the Yakuza. But Pride's demise will not bring back what he and everyone associated with the company lost.
I've spent 3 years of my life fighting these gangsters, and suddenly it was over. I was financially destitute. My life was a mess. I had to start again. There's a thing with getting what you want in life. It's not necessarily what you expect it to be.
When I went to Pride became a full-time job. I get paid a lot of bills. It paid off my house, credit cards, cars. They paid for everything. It became a career.
Everybody who was involved in all this stuff, Kawamata, Miro Miatovich, it's people being upset that things didn't go in the way that they wanted to, and they wanted to get some revenge for it. And they got revenge by destroying opportunities for all of us. That's the way I see it.
As for Sakakibara, the former president of Pride denies any connection to the Yakuza, and he's never charged with any wrongdoings. 8 years after selling Pride, he launches a new MMA promotion, Rizin Fighting Federation.
The name changed to Rising, but still that Rising is really essentially Pride. Everybody knows that. So for that sense, Pride never died.
She's exactly where she didn't want to be.
And while the specter of the Yakuza may haunt the memory of Pride, the company's showmanship and legendary ring battles continue to be revered by fans and fighters alike.
Did I hear the word Yakuza? Did I see a Yakuza member? Or did I believe that the Yakuza were there? No. Could they have been involved? I don't know, but I don't work on speculation or rumors. I worked for Pride Fighting Championships, and I don't care who was involved. It was fun, and it was a great time, and nobody died. Well, I guess that's not true, but it was a good time. Pride was phenomenal.
Beautiful. Oh, no. Takada beat Mark Coleman. Unbelievable.
You just can't explain. You got to be part of it. You know, you got to experience it.
He's going to continue. This is horrible. This is like Jaws.
I feel sadness and sorrow for all the people that love MMA, that they will never know how amazing that was. There's never been a better mixed martial arts event than a Pride show. And I don't want to say there never will be, because I don't want to put that in the air.
I still love fighting, and I love the sport. I think the purity of two men giving it all, it's a very compelling and emotional thing.
Nakayama looks like he's crying on Don Frye's shoulder here.
But the fight game is full of grifters and scammers and bad people. What can we say? It doesn't attract the best sort of people, and maybe I was one of those as well.